Fund. Carmen Balber from Consumer Watchdog says absolutely nothing.
They either sent you a check in the mail or they put the money in your bank account. So all you have to do is wait for that money to show up in your direct deposit account, if that's how you got your tax refund, or the state at the end of the month will start mailing debit card.
Family members, friends, it was hard.
And while the $1,400 stimulus payment for Roll will be used to catch up on bills, for mother of two, Tonetta Lane Bynes,
what we're going to do with the stimulus money is really save it.
While Lane Bynes says she will use the money to prepare for a rainy day.
JEA doesn't stop sending their bills.
It's good, everybody. The lawmakers have unveiled a new timeline for the next round of checks. This includes new deposit dates for the month of November. Republicans are now pushing for monthly relief payments to go out to a more targeted group of people. These checks may be worth up to $1,400 in fact, and some get $2,000. So the IRS has announced that more than 9 million individuals and families could be leaving money on the table by not filing a 2021 federal tax return. Last week, the Federal Tax Agency began sending letters to those people that had identified who could be missing out on payments through tax credits that could put money in their pockets. That money includes a third round of stimulus checks worth $1,400 per person, child tax credits of up to $3,600 per child, and the earned income tax credit worth up to $1,500 for childless workers, which goes up to $6,700 for filers with 3 more children. Notably, families who received advance monthly child tax credit payments in 2021 for up to half the value of the credit can still receive and file the rest of the money for which they're eligible. The American Rescue Plan, which was enacted in 2021, authorized the stimulus checks through the Recovery Rebate credit and also made existing child tax and earned income tax credits more generous. As a result, some individuals and families became newly eligible for the money, including those who did not file a tax return due to having little to no income. In addition, filers may also qualify for 2 expanded credits, the Child and Dependent Care Credit, for up to $4,000 for one qualifying person or $8,000 for both. The IRS Commissioner also said that the IRS wants to remind potentially eligible people, families, that they qualify for these valuable tax credits, and millions of eligible taxpayers fail to receive and claim the credits for which they are eligible every year. A recent report for the Bipartisan Policy Center said that was largely attributable to administrative barriers such as misperceptions about the necessary qualifications and claiming complexity. The IRS emphasized that claiming the 2021 credits will not affect eligibility for federal benefits through programs including SNAP and SSI. In addition, another tool will let filers use a simplified online tool in order to claim the third stimulus check and to earn income tax credit through the end of November. The tool was recently updated to include the Earned Income Tax Credit. And to be sure, tax filers generally have up to 3 years from the original filing deadline to claim the tax credits for which they are eligible for. The Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf and his administration reintroduced his proposed Pennsylvania Opportunity Plan that would use American Rescue Plan dollars to send direct payments to Pennsylvania residents. This $1.7 billion plan will assist families with childcare, job training, broadband, and after-school programs. The governor said this money was a life-changing difference for families and communities across the Commonwealth, providing a much-needed buffer against prices that are artificially and temporarily higher due to inflation. And now the governor also said there is a crisis relief state assistance SBA program. The program is going to provide grants ranging from $5,000 to $50,000 to small businesses. And everybody, Indiana also reinserts are still waiting on paper checks to their $125 automatic taxpayer refunds. The state will also begin sending out new checks of $200 very soon, and last year the state collected way more revenue than expected, and because of that, people will receive a bigger refund.
$350. Those who make less than $125,000 a year will get $250, and those who make less than $250,000 a year will get $200. Taxpayers with dependents will get an additional $350. The most a family can get is $1,050.
I think that would be very helpful and sounds kind of amazing, honestly.
Ray Vargas knows how he'll spend it.
For starters, probably bills. I would say little bills, gas, obviously.
Everyone I spoke to listed essentials.
Probably a bill. Pay a bill.
And said they feel bad for those like retirees who no longer pay income tax who will not get the direct deposit.
They have to go through the same thing we do that file our taxes. Yes, I think they should be a part of it all.
Very important news is here, everybody. Millions of Americans are expected to receive a $500 one-time crisis relief payment stimulus check by September. These new checks can be automatically deposited. Here's some good news on this. Colorado and your state People are set to receive a stimulus check of $500. If tax returns are filed after June 30th but before October 17th, then people in Colorado will receive the check in cash in January. Now, individual taxpayers will pocket about $500, while joint filers will get a $1,000 payment. The governor said, "We are helping people in Colorado deal with inflation by getting people back their hard-earned money this summer. We are providing immediate relief for hardworking people in the state." Inflation rocketed to 8.6% in May, its highest level since December. The payments are being introduced as part of the Senate bill. Legislation that refunds up to 85% of excess state revenue. Hundreds of thousands of Americans will also get a check in the mailbox. The state of Maine is sending up to 200,000 payments each week under its tax rebate program until everybody gets a check. To qualify for a rebate check in the state, you must meet a few requirements. As far as income goes, as individuals must not exceed $100,000, while heads of the household and couples can make up to $150,000 and $200,000 respectively. These will be based on 2021 tax returns, which must be filed by October 31st. Also, you must not be claimed as a dependent on another tax return to qualify for the rebate. The Department of Administrative Financial Affairs told reporters that it is processing checks at the peak capacity of 200,000 checks per week. There is no specific order by which the payments are going out. And consumer sentiment has hit a record low in June as Americans continue to face elevated gas prices for gas, food, and other services. Inflation, which last increased at the fastest pace in more than 40 years as of May, remained a pressing concern and a key contributor to the further erosion in sentiment. Last week, a conference board survey found that 60% of CEOs said they expect a recession before the end of 2023. Economic teams at the Wall Street firms from Goldman Sachs to Citigroup have also raised their expectation over the risk of a recession over the next year.
Recognize the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Buchanan, to inquire.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I want to thank you for your service. You and I just talked briefly a few minutes ago, but my passion is really to look at the big picture in terms of debt and deficits. If you look over the last 15 years, everybody talks about reducing the deficits, and that we've ran up almost $20 trillion in debt in the last 15 years or so. So what can we do about that? But also, I want to how does that tie in your opinion, to inflation? The last 4 or 5 years, or last couple of years, we ran into $4 or $5 trillion of additional spending. They like to spend another $2 trillion, but everybody feels in our area that it's impacting inflation in a big year, and it's killing a lot. I'm in Florida, so a lot of our seniors count on a slight raise here and there, and this deficit is really hurting them badly. So what's your thought between spending and inflation? It seems like there's a connection.
Well, so spending has come down, government spending and the deficit have come down dramatically. We had a substantial response to the pandemic, which was appropriate. It succeeded in getting our economy back to full employment and mitigating a great deal of harm. In that way, I think it was very successful. But there's no question that inflation